So yeah, if I'm getting the year right, I think Nightlight was started in 2003. Started by a good friend of mine named Isaac. He lives in Berlin now. There was in that space, there was like a cafe and bookshop called Skylight Exchange. Uh, my friend Isaac was like, can we start? They were closed in the evenings mostly, and so the idea was like, can we have a club in here? Can we book music at nighttime? You know, yeah, I'm Charlie Heron. I am part owner of All Day Records with my business partner Ethan. We also owned the Nightlight together, and I guess I consider myself the general manager of Nightlight during that time.
Just the environment, which was different than the mid-size like rock clubs or larger rock clubs in the area. It just felt sort of like homier, and um, and just to have like sort of this dance party of like fucked up electronic music in uh, this some more sort of more intimate kind of grimy space was like really exciting. So that like became like my favorite place to see shows that year.
We had limited means there. A funky space with some crusty old couches, but I always believed in the power of you set up for the evening and you bring a lamp from your house and you just sort of care about the details and like it was such a crusty, shabby place, especially if you're there in the daytime. But when you cleaned up and you arranged things the way you want, and it was cool because it was a space that could be arranged in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I remember it was like a
And when you
different
did that
orientation.
and the lights were there and it was the night, you would be like, oh, it feels magical in here.
Yeah, my name's Casey. I make music as Chain Letter. I've been doing that since about 2010. I produce music, dance music. I've been doing like experimental hardware music also, like mostly techno and ambient. Yeah. I started Chain Letter around 2012 and mostly started like with house shows and stuff like that. And at around 2007, I moved to Carrboro and I would go up to the Nightlight every now and again for dance parties. And they used to have a little library in the back, and I would like go over there in the daytime and just like hang out, and was like, oh, this is just a cool place and I want to be involved with it. And then some point in 2012, after doing a number of house shows, I met up with some other people that were organizing a show there, and I had my first Chain Letter show in a club.
I moved here in '97 right after college, and I had been driving out here because I was into indie rock and going to shows at the Cradle, etc. And so that was kind of what drew me. And then when I got here, I started getting interested in electronic dance music, disco, other sorts of things. And in a place that was very established as like a rock town, in a town with a reputation of people like not liking to dance, and even when the rock bands that people love would come through, people were like, oh, it's Chapel Hill, everyone's just going to stand there with their arms folded or whatever. And so, at least my take on it is, I felt like the Nightlight came out of a need to have a space for other musics, other than the very like established kind of like rock scene. So, Ethan, my business partner, he DJ'd there the weekend that Nightlight first opened, and so it was a cool spot for people doing weird hip hop stuff, people into dance and DJ stuff, and then somewhat parallel there. There was the experimental and kind of like noise scene that was starting to appear. So I guess that's sort of my simplest thing, was that it was a space for other sort of stuff that wasn't really being represented in the kind of like predominant rock clubs.
Nice hairy forearm.
The stuff that I saw mostly there was like house and techno, more so techno, because I think maybe that's just more what I was interested in. And then like kind of experimental dance music. He was always like really into like booking people who were doing like hardware. So yeah, a lot of really experimental stuff. I've seen some like weird ambient stuff. Noise was like, I think it was a really big space for noise, because like Savage Weekend was there and some other things like along those. I think some of the first things I ever even went to there were actually just like the most chaotic noise nights.
Yeah, Savage Weekend, I sort of hesitate to call it like a noise fest, because that can mean so much to some people. Like noise is a very specific genre. I definitely patterned it after the International Noise Conference, which also, you might not expect from the name, but also had this sort of very open genre sort of approach. So yeah, people would do noise, some people would do like pop or techno at those things, but just kind of keeping it like 15-minute sets back to back, and there'd be like a lot of variety in those events. And so yeah, that's what inspired me to do Savage Weekend. And yeah, but yeah, I guess to a lot of people it probably is just like noise, or that's like but I was like, hey, people are doing interesting performances, people are playing songs even, like, but it's like, I think kind of unified by this sort of the similar attitude, more so than like I don't know, than sort of continuity of sound.
A thing I've really respected about the Nightlight all along is that it's just like, I mean, I don't think there's been a lot of profit from that space. I think there are so many parties that I know they lost money on, but they were really just like booking for the love of the music, and trying to like throw the parties that they wanted to see happen.
There was a point when, like, I don't know, it's like people were like, well, we need to be more intentional about booking and we need to think more about what, you know, and it's like we entered sort of an era of like woke booking or whatever, you know, and I feel like that was something with the club that it was natural. It wasn't that we were, you know, setting off to, you know, to check boxes or whatever, but it just felt like there was a need for, you know, queerer music or more music of color, etc. They just kind of like, wasn't supported, and we were just people that wanted to hear different stuff. And honestly, to me, like when we hit the point that you could have where we were filling the room on regular dance party nights, like, you know, that was shit that almost made me cry, you know, like just that we could have a Saturday dance with DJs and it would maybe be a mix of, you know, house, electro, disco, whatever, and that it was packed even when it wasn't some name that, I mean, that, like, I felt like we spent a long time working towards that, and that was, you know, and, you know, just getting to the point where we were paying, you know, like, you know, the first time we were able to pay someone $400 to play. The first time we were able to pay someone $800. First time we were able to pay someone $1,000.
Yeah, I think that I really appreciated about Nightlight, especially in their like later dance party days, is a lot of times they would like, there was a stage there, and then they would also set up things on the floor. So like somebody would finish playing on the stage, and then it would almost immediately go into like a resident DJ like spinning off to the side while the artists switch out the stage, and they would always play the house music like as loud as the performances. So the music was just kind of going all night. But like the thing that I really loved about that was like that it kind of like decentered the stage and like kind of like disrupted the dance floor in this way where people weren't just facing the same direction all night, and it kind of like
you're the people are facing each other.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like a dance party.
Yeah, so many memories. I feel like, I think one time Forced and Femininity played at Savage Weekend. That might have been 2016 or so, but maybe 2015. Yeah, she played that year for sure. But like the first time she played there, it was outrageous. Like I like people were like losing their minds, like, and just like screaming in affirmation of everything that she was doing. And I think between songs, she was like, you know, I didn't expect so much acceptance, because what she does is very like antagonistic and intense. But I think she got surfed at one point. It was just people's screams were as like loud as the music and the performance. So that was a great, that was definitely a highlight. Yeah,
we'd been there almost 20 years. I mean, it was a busted building, and obviously we weren't paying rent that other places in town, you know, but it worked for us. We'd been paying rent for almost 20 years. The plumbing went out. According to the lease that we had, we were supposed to share that repair cost with the landlord. But I think from their perspective, it didn't really matter whether the club was there or not. They were not interested in putting money into the building. And so, like they jerked us along for a while. And then after a while, you're like, oh yeah, well, I feel like a dummy. Like they're just fucking with us. like, so we gave up and we moved out, and now, obviously now the building's just sitting there. There's other people in town that have empty buildings, and
It's
they
crazy.
just don't. They don't care.
I mean, I'm going.
So it was just sort of the slow progress of like basically just trying to make fun in my own town.
There's something up with that space in a good way. It didn't feel just very weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nightlight is haunted. That's one series of memories. A lot of intense stuff happened there. Yeah, I guess I've like seen like moments of like intense like joy and creativity and ecstasy. I've seen people like bleed all over the floor. I've seen like, I don't know. It's